Hi there, and thanks for joining me. Today we're making this quilted cork zipper pouch. I posted this in my Craft Crazy Facebook group, and overwhelmingly everybody wanted to see a tutorial for this, so I threw one together today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So here's what you need. You need 4 squares of fabric cut to 5 by 5, and that's going to be the front and the back of the bag, the lower portion. You're going to need 2 pieces of cork cut to 2 by 9.5. 2 pieces of fleece cut to 9.5 by 4.75, 1 piece of your lining fabric cut to 6.5 by 9.5. I'm sorry, that's 2 pieces of lining cut to 6.5 by 9.5. If you're going to put the handle on, you need a piece of cork cut to 1/2 inch by 9 inch and a little tab cut to 1/2 by 2 inches if you're going to add the D-ring to attach the handle. The first thing we're going to do is attach our squares. You're going to take 2 of your squares, and you can make these the same if you want, different, it's up to you. But I'm going to take 2 of them and put them pretty sides together. Make sure they're lined up nice and neatly. And then you're going to stitch one side of them 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stitch it straight down one side, 1/4 inch seam allowance. And again, make sure they're nice and straight because otherwise everything else is going to be wonky. Okay, so it should look something like this. I've pressed my seams open just because we're going to apply the fusible fleece to the back side of each of our squares. And that's just going to make it a little bit flatter than putting both seams to the one side. So go ahead and open the seam allowance, press it down, and then add your fusible fleece to the back side of each of your rectangles now. And meet me back here. All right, it should be looking like this. Okay, and now it's optional. If you want to add some quilting lines, go ahead. Just take it over to your sewing machine and stitch however you want. This is how I did this bag. But you can do whatever you want. You could go horizontal, vertical, you could go diagonal. You don't have to put any at all. This is fusible fleece, so you don't really have to quilt it into place. That's just decorative. But you can see I just added a few straight lines towards the top, and I did similar on this one. So the next thing we're going to do is apply the cork. You're going to put your cork strip pretty side down against one of your quilted pieces. And you're going to stitch that, again, 1/4 inch seam allowance right across that top on each piece. All right, it should look like this. You're going to flip it over, make sure the cork stays straight, don't bend the cork, bend the fabric. And just kind of finger press that into place. And now if you have anything that has gotten wonky or anything doesn't line up, go ahead and trim it so that everything stays straight. And I'm not a quilter, but depending on your seam allowances, things could have shifted a little bit. So make sure that your lining and your outer pieces are all the exact same size at this point. Now you want to grab one of your outer pieces and you're going to install the zipper. You want to put that zipper pretty side down or the right side down, zipper pull side down, however you want to say it. And you can clip this into place. Now you can do this all in one step, or if you want to do it one step at a time, that's perfectly fine as well. I find it a little bit neater if you do it one at a time. But you're just going to line that up with the edge. Again, the zipper pull is face down with the pretty side of the fabric, and you're going to stitch that with your zipper foot right across the top. All right, it should be looking like this. Now you're going to, you can see my seam line there. Now you're going to add one of your lining pieces pretty side down. If it's directional, make sure the top of the pattern is facing the zipper side, and you're going to line those up. Now if you turn it over, you'll be able to follow your seam line. You can see it right there on the cork side. And when you take that over to your sewing machine, I'm just going to follow that same line and stitch my lining into place. All right, it should be looking like this. You're going to open it up. And you're going to have to kind of finger press that down. That cork is folded now inside there. So finger press it down as best as you can just to get everything nice and flat. We're going to top stitch that down in just a moment. But for now, just finger press it. And now we're going to install the other side. So we're going to take our little sandwich that we made and put it zipper pull side down against the pretty side of the other outer fabric. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stitch that down and then bring it back over. Add the lining piece, pretty side against the other lining piece. And you can do this all in one step if you want. And you're going to stitch right back on top of the line that you previously stitched. And once you have that done, it's going to look like this. And now we are going to top stitch right alongside of that zipper. Make sure that your lining and your cork everything is pushed away from the zipper, and then you're going to top stitch right along that edge. That will keep everything in place. If you're going to add the D-ring and the handle, this is the time to do that as well. So you're just going to thread that little tab through the D-ring and then put the folded side towards the middle of the bag. And you can put this wherever you want. I'm going to put mine right here. Make sure you sew and only attach the D-ring tab to the outer fabric. You don't want to attach it to that lining, just the outer fabric. But you want to go ahead and you can clip that into place. And I'm going to go top stitch along that zipper and then stitch this little tab down. If you want to add any labels to your lining to the inside or the outside, this is the time to also add those. But I'm just going to top stitch around that zipper and then top stitch that down. So this is what it's looking like. Here's my little tab. Got my zipper top stitched. I don't know if you can see that. And I put a little label for the inside, but that's totally optional, not necessary. All right, now we're just going to lift this up. If you guys haven't noticed, we're making the same bag over and over. All we're doing is adjusting how we're making the outside rectangles. So you can do these however you want, but you guys asked how to do this one, so I'm more than happy to show you. You're going to pull those outer fabrics together and the lining fabrics together so it looks like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is line up that where the zipper is. Make sure that the cork lines up on the outside. It's going to give you a nice clean look when you're done. And then I'm going to go to where we attach the cork and the fabric together and make sure those line up. I'm going to do the same on the opposite end. Line that zipper up. And then line the fabric and cork up. And then I will go ahead and clip all the way around like this. Now on your lining side, you want to leave an opening about 3 inches. If you guys have been following along, this is standard protocol here. You're going to start sewing at one line, go all the way around and back. Make sure you back stitch. You're going to see that I forgot to back stitch and I popped my seam. So make sure you back stitch at the beginning and the end of all of your seams. And I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can use whatever works for you. Once you have that sewn all the way around, you can trim off those zipper ends. And you can reach inside. Whoops, I forgot. Cut those corners off. Make sure you don't cut through your seam line. All right, now you can reach inside that hole, and because we left that zipper open, you can reach in there and turn this right side out. Make sure that you poke the corners out nice and sharp. You might need to reach in there with a chopstick, a bone folder, or whatever you use to turn your corners out. End of a pen, without the pen extended, obviously. And you can see here my seam popped, but that's not a problem. We're just going to fold those ends in and close up our lining. I'm just going to stitch that. I'm going to stitch mine all the way across, but you can just stitch up the opening that you have. And all that's left to do is to tuck that right inside, and the bag portion is finished. Again, you want to make sure and pop out all of your corners. Your zipper should be lined up nicely on each end. Perfect. You're going to want to give it a press when you're done. All right, now if you added the tab for the D-ring, now we need to make the handle. So we're going to use a lobster clasp and take our handle piece. You're going to thread it through your lobster clasp, and then you're going to put it wrong side out like this, and just stitch that about 1/4 inch So it looks like this. And then you're going to flip it right side out. Move that lobster clasp around, and I like to just fold those tabs over to one side and put the lobster clasp right on top of it. That just gives it 3 layers of cork to stabilize it, just like that. And then we're just going to pinch it and stitch that right across. I go back and forth a few times. So it looks like this. I'm just going to pinch it and then stitch back and forth a few times. And that's it. You have finished your bag. You can either hook this to the zipper pull or to that little D-ring on the side if you want more of a wristlet. But you're basically finished. Well, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell notification so that you get notified every time there's a new video. Don't forget to tag me on social media if you make it. I love to see it when you guys make the projects that we have created here on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. See ya. Bye-bye.